to episode 112 of Explore Your Enthusiasm with me, Tara Swiger. This is also day 22 of Month of Biz Love. So if you've been following along with that, this lesson applies to both things. You can find the free workbook for Month of Biz Love at taraswiger.com/monthofbizlove, and you'll get an email that points you to all of the video lessons, the Instagram challenge, and gives you that free workbook. So if this is the first you're hearing about it, check it out, taraswiger.com/monthofbizlove. Now, what we're going to do today is talk about what to focus on in your business, what really matters in your business, and where you should be focusing your time and attention. But before we do, I gotta let you know that Liftoff is open right now. So go to taraswiger.com/lift, that's LIFT, to check it out. It's only open for 10 days, and if you are listening to this after the 10 days is over and before it opens again in 6 months, you can go to taraswiger.com/lift and sign up there to be notified when it opens again. So taraswiger.com/lift to learn all about the Liftoff program, which is 6 months of building the foundations of your business. The foundations are the things that really matter in your business, the things that are going to make a difference. So if you are subscribed to get my weekly emails, then you know last week I emailed you about what really matters in your business and how important it is to focus on what matters. There are only a few areas where you can dramatically improve your results. And what I said in the email, as a reminder, is this is what those areas are, where if you focus on them, you'll dramatically improve your results. They are clarity about your own business dreams, what you want out of your business versus what other people want in their business, or versus what you feel like you should want, or you think you should want, or other people have told you should have in your business. The second one is honesty about where you are right now, about the kind of business you really have, and being oriented in where you are and what's a reasonable expectation and how you spend your time and the kind of money you make. The next area is breaking down the gap between where you want to go and where you are right now into doable steps. I call this making a map, making a plan for how you're going to get to where you want to go. But anytime you're breaking down a goal into doable actions, that's what this area is. It's so important for getting where you want to go. And then there are the three big foundations: profitability, because you've got to know your products are going to make money if you sell them; marketing, which is you've got to know that someone wants your work. You need to know who they are, where to find them, and how to talk to them. And then using your time wisely. There is a lot you could do in your business. How do you know how to spend your time and that the things you're spending your time on are really effective to changing your business? So those are the main areas of focus in your business. Not should you be on Twitter, not should you podcast, not what do you say in an individual tweet. Those answers will be made a lot more clear when you know those areas I just mentioned, when you know what kind of business you're having, when you know how to talk to your people, when you know how to use your time. A lot of those answers will resolve themselves once you get clear on those areas. Now, you can group these areas together into 4 big foundations. The first one is mission and mapping. That is getting clear on everything from the big picture to your goal this month, and then a plan for making it happen. Now, when I say a plan, not all of us are super specific planners. Like, I don't need to know what I'm doing every hour in my workday. I just need to know a general shape of the week, what kinds of projects I'm going to work on what days, and then what my focus for the week is. Other people like to have scheduled what they do every single day, every single hour. Still, other people like it to be even looser than that and just have a kind of a big list that they're working from. Whatever way works for you, we all need to know our mission, what we're trying to do in our business, and then a map of how we're going to get there, how we're going to do it day in and day out. It's the first foundation. The second foundation is profitability, knowing that your items make money, knowing what your numbers are. Profitability, super important to having a business that makes money, is knowing it can make money. The third area is marketing. That's communicating with your people, letting them know what's special about your work, finding your people. And then the fourth one I think of as effectiveness. So this is not just doing things quickly, but doing the right things and feeling good about your workday, because nothing will kill your momentum faster than feeling just really bad about your workday and feeling like you're not getting enough done. So those are the 4 foundations. Now, if you want to work on these 4 foundations, this is exactly what we cover in Liftoff. We work on each one through the course of 6 months. But whether you're in Liftoff or not, the good news is that just knowing that those are what matter in your business can help you defeat the, oh my goodness, what do I focus on, complete panic that we often fall into. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling like you don't know what to focus on, if you're feeling like you want to improve your business, but you don't know, like, what do I do? It's always going to come back to those 4 areas. Typically, it's that you can work on all 4 of them and see improvement, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But just knowing that those are the 4 areas, that gives you some clarity, that gives you some guidance and some focus. You can just come back to this list, you can listen to this podcast again and ask yourself, which of those areas do I want to work on next, and then work on it. Now, if you're not sure what I mean by work on it, I'm going to give you some ideas in this podcast episode, but we actually do the work of building these foundations in Liftoff. So what's super cool about these areas is that they actually all build on each other and they all fit together. So for example, you can't get a clear idea of your marketing until you know what your mission is. And you don't want to do your marketing until you know your item is profitable. So the reason why I actually created a class about profitability is not because I like doing numbers, because I don't, but it's because I met people who were at their absolute limit of production. They didn't need to do more marketing because they were already selling all they could sell, and yet they weren't making money. So like they had skipped ahead right from mission to marketing without figuring out, oh, their item's profitable or not profitable. So all of those things, you need each of them in order to know the next one. And at the same time, working on one improves them all. So what I like about this is working on one area is actually working on all areas. It's kind of like a fractal where the bigger piece reflects all of the smaller pieces. So everything you do is reflected in everything else in your business. Because when you work on how you want to communicate with your people, you'll see the same words and feelings that you come up with there show up in your mission, show up in how you decide what to spend your time on. So it's all the same words and ideas and feelings that you want your business to evoke will impact your mission. It'll impact your marketing. It'll also impact your profitability, because there's a difference between wanting a business that's full of freedom and wanting a business that's full of connection or community. So working on one area works on all the other areas. And at the same time, these areas are also exponential, because working on one area improves all the other areas. It won't just reflect upon it, but it will increase it and grow it. So, and what I mean by that is working on one area will often increase your sales as if you had worked on all the areas. Working on one area builds your business, and so your business is stronger when you turn to the next area. So one example of this is if you get your numbers and your profitability figured out, often you don't need to do any more marketing or reach any more customers in order to increase your sales. But when then you turn your attention to work on your marketing, you already know you're already profitable with the people you're talking to, so you can ask them some questions and improve your marketing even more, become even more specific, talk about what they care about, and that will grow your business. And then you might need to recheck your numbers. Do your numbers still all work out? And then you'll look at who you're serving, and that will impact your mission, and it will make your mission even greater and bigger and more awesome. So it's exponential in that working on one thing expands all of the other things. And when you work on all of them, like one at a time, I don't mean all of them at once, but one at a time, you see all kinds of growth in your business, because we're building on everything that came before it, and you're getting a clearer and clearer vision, not only of what you're doing, but who you're serving, how you're making money, and what drives you and what drives your buyers, and all of those things feed a really healthy, thriving business. So an example from my business about this whole, it's both fractal and exponential, is when I got really clear about my mission, when I decided what I wanted to do in the lives and businesses of makers and artists, which by the way, I didn't know for a long time. I started my Starship program because people were asking me questions and wanted to talk to each other. So I created a community where they could talk to each other. They could answer each other's questions. I started offering classes because people just asked me questions, and I thought just answering one question isn't very effective. I should put it all together in a class and guide you from step A to step Z, as opposed to just answering your question that's like step Q. So I started doing all that before I had a clear mission behind what I was doing. But over time, as I realized how much I love it and I realized what I wanted to do, and it became clear, as my mission became clearer, my marketing became clearer. So from the words I use to the topics I talk about to even the images I use, the more clear I am in what my mission is for the people I work with, the better my marketing is, because it communicates what my mission is for the people I want to work with. And it doesn't just communicate and say, this is my mission. It also communicates it through the tone and the attitude and my attitude and how we talk to each other. All of that is shaped by my mission. And my mission being shaped in that way makes my marketing better. It appeals to the right people. It appeals to more people than just like random girl doing random classes. And it speaks directly to the people who need it. So when I became clear on my mission, it dramatically increased my sales and my income. And in fact, I can point to some work I did to become clear on my mission. And in the next year, my sales doubled. Just crazy. I went back and I checked in on that. And the reaction and the amount of help my work actually did for the people who buy the classes, that increased dramatically. It went from being, kind of helpful to, oh my goodness, this is changing my business. I'm so excited. So you see, all of those areas are related. Your marketing is related to your product creation, which is tied into your mission, which is tied into your profitability. So getting clear in one opens up the doors of others. So how about you? I want you to think, as we're talking about this, which foundation of your business needs work right now? And as you think about that, you might be frustrated about the ways you've spent your time in the past. You might be frustrated that you haven't been focusing on these foundations, and instead you've been focusing on the things that don't matter as much. I hear this all the time. Instead of focusing on our mission, we focus on how to figure out how to hashtag a photo, and that's okay. We all do it. It's not just you. You are not alone in that. We all read a blog post or listen to a podcast that's about a specific tactic, and without even asking, is this right? Is this in alignment with what I'm doing? Is this what matters to my business right now? We just dive into learning about it, trying to implement it, working on it, getting obsessed with it. And that's totally okay. And I have a really recent example in my business. My mastermind, a couple of the girls in my mastermind decided to work on Facebook advertising. They wanted to learn how to do Facebook advertising and grow their business with it. And I have been so tempted to join in and join that, but I know that's not the strategy that my business is using right now. I'm not focused on advertising. And so I have to keep resisting being drawn into it. So that's totally normal. I think I've said in the past on this podcast that I will often only listen to podcast episodes that are business podcasts that are related to the thing I'm working on right then. So I am working on launching a new program, so I might listen to a podcast episode about a sales page or a launch sequence, but I won't listen to podcast episodes that are about how to do advertising or even list building or using certain software, because that's not where my focus is right now. So it's totally okay if you get distracted. You have permission to cut out everything that's going to distract you. On the other hand, from getting distracted and focusing too much on business stuff, are a lot of makers tell me that they avoid thinking about this altogether. They've avoided working on it at all. So when we did a month of BizLove, a lot of people said in their comments, this is the first time I've really worked on my business. Now they've worked in their business, they've made products, they've listed them, they've taken photos, they've made it available, but they've never thought about their business as a thing that needs their attention and focus. So there's a difference between working in your business, which is like being the maker and the producer, which is important, and working on your business, which is putting the systems and structures in place so that you have something sustainable, long lasting, so you're not scrambling all of the time to get everything done. So those makers, they just make their thing, put it in their shop, and hope it becomes a sustainable business. But in fact, without thinking about the structures and the foundations, you're having to do the same thing over and over. You're having to rush to get it together. And the minute you step away from it, it can all fall apart. And if that's you, it's okay. You're not alone. That is how everybody starts. Everybody starts by being makers and artists start by being in love with their product, putting it in a shop, making it available online, whether it's at craft shows or it's in an Etsy shop or a Shopify shop. And then what's next? Some people stay in that spot for quite a while, and that's all right. If that's you, it's okay. You haven't done anything wrong if you haven't started working on profitability or marketing yet. Because here's the thing I want to say. You haven't done anything wrong if that's how you've been approaching it, because there is this narrative in the public, and I think in the media and even a little bit on just our friends' Instagram pages, there's a narrative about the artist who creates their work, puts it into the world, and is an immediate success. And they sell out, and they don't have to do any marketing, and they don't even think about marketing, and they just sell their work. I've even had big makers with big businesses tell me, oh, I don't ever think about marketing. And I'm like, really? Because you have an on-brand Instagram account and you have a newsletter that you send out consistently. You might not call it marketing, but you absolutely are doing the work on it. And they'll be like, oh yeah, but I don't think of it as marketing. I just do it. Well, okay, but you're still doing marketing. So I want to acknowledge there is a tiny percentage of people who put their work into the world and it sells out and it hits big and they never have to talk to anybody and they never have to think about who the right people are, and they just make it and they hit it and it's awesome, and they don't have to figure out their marketing and they don't have to figure out their profitability. All the numbers just happen to fall into place. But those are unicorns. Those are magical, sparkly, wonderful rainbow unicorns that is super fun to write about, to read about, to look at pictures on. And it's possible that you are a unicorn. That's totally possible. But if you have big dreams for where you want your business to go, I don't want you to waste your precious life and your precious time waiting to see if you're a unicorn or not. Instead, I want to help you build the systems and the foundations to be sure you'll have a successful business, whether you're a unicorn or not. Maybe like me and you're just like a hardworking Shetland pony. That's okay. Hardworking Shetland ponies, Clydesdales, they all can have successful businesses if they do the work, if they don't wait to see if they're a unicorn. The problem with this narrative of this artist puts out their stuff and they sell out and they didn't have to do anything, the problem with that is that all of us who do not have magical, beautiful, amazing, world-shaking work feel like we can't have a business unless we're that. I've heard that from so many makers and artists. I was like, well, I just don't have that skill. My thing didn't just blow up, so I guess I shouldn't do this. No. The vast majority of people who have successful, sustainable businesses have worked their butts off for years. They have worked to put in place the systems. They've worked to create consistent marketing messages, even if they don't call it that. They've worked to figure out how to make money, how to be profitable. And that's why they have an awesome, sustainable business. So if you're not the unicorn, let's not wait to see if you're the unicorn. If you do the work and then you happen to be a unicorn, so much the better. But if you do the work and you're not a unicorn, you'll know you're doing what it takes to build a business. Because I don't want you to wait for outside circumstances, or I don't want you to wait to be discovered, and I don't want you to wait for someone else's approval before you build the business that you want. And waiting around to see if you're a unicorn is just waiting for someone else to give you permission to have the business you want. And you don't have to do that. You have permission right now to build the kind of business that you want to have, that you want to work in. So how do you do that? How do you do that? How do you build a sustainable business? You work on each of these foundations. You get them secure, steady, and systematized. Ooh, I didn't even mean for that to have alliteration. But here are the things that each foundation needs. I'm going to give you a couple of the things because you might think, well, marketing, what does that mean? Or profitability, what does that mean? So here's a list of what goes under each of those foundations. And this is a partial list. So under the foundation of mission and mapping, you need to define what your dream business is, get clear on your mission, both internal and external. And I have a video on that. It's Month of Biz Love Day 2. I talk about the difference between the two missions, internal and external. You want to identify your assets and support. You want to choose a goal that you're working on right now. Not just big, long picture goal, but the goal you're actually working towards that you're totally focused on. And then you need to create a plan to reach that goal. That's all mission and mapping. Under profitability, you need to know your numbers and how to get them, where to find them, how to know what your sales are, what your expenses are, what your profit margin is. Then you need to know your profit margin for each item and your break-even point for your items and for your overall business. And then you need to know some variables you can experiment with. What can you shift a little bit and change your profitability? We all know you could lower or raise your prices, but that's not the only variable you have when it comes to profitability. So knowing those, super vital to the foundation of your profitability. The next one is marketing. So marketing encompasses all communication with people who might be interested in your thing. So what does that include? It includes how you talk about your work, how strangers find you, how you build a relationship with potential customers, how how strangers become buyers, and then how you keep those customers happy and coming back. The kind of language you use, the kind of images you use, that's all under the foundation of marketing. And then the fourth foundation, effectiveness. With that, you want to know that what you're doing each day is what matters. You need to keep track of all the things you need to do and all the things you want to do. You need to have a system for tracking that. And then you want to find ways to streamline your recurring tasks and become more consistent overall. Becoming consistent is going to improve your profitability. It's going to improve your marketing. It's going to make your mission a lot easier to carry out. So as you hear all that, I want you to think, which of these needs your focus right now in your business? Which of these matters the most for you right now? Most people that I talk to have a handle on something. Like either they have a handle of setting and reaching goals that works for them. A lot of people have that, and yet they might not have ever thought about profitability, or maybe not clear on their marketing. Other people, super easy to talk to people about their work. They've got their marketing nailed, even if they might not call it marketing, but they haven't been setting and reaching the goals that they want. Or their items aren't profitable, and no matter how much they sell, they're not ever going to make any money from it. So I want you to think through which one you need right now and make a note of it. And now focus your energy on that. The next couple weeks to a month, decide that's the foundation you're working on. Now you can work on these foundations through reading books, reading blogs, listening to some of my podcast episodes, but if you want to build each one in order and actually apply each one to what you're doing through a bunch of questions and workbooks and lessons, you can check out Liftoff. We cover everything I just listed. All of those bullet points of all of those foundations are covered in its own lesson in Liftoff. It's open now, but it closes June 25th. And you can find all of the details, including all of the classes that are inside of it, at tarswiger.com/lift. So in Liftoff, we cover all of these foundations and we explore your answers to them. Like, what are your goals? Who are your people? What is your ideal workday like? Because as you might have learned, if you've been listening to my podcast for a while, I don't care what works for me. I mean, I care what works for me, but I don't want to teach you what works for me, whether it's from my ideal workday or my way of marketing. I want you to find the one that works for you. And above that, I want you to understand these foundations and these basics so that you can answer all the future questions in front of you, so that you become your own best business expert. And when something pops up that you're not sure about, you can answer it for yourself. So in Liftoff, we will answer these questions and we will work on each foundation, give it its own focus one at a time over the course of 6 months. So if you want to check it out, it's tarswiger.com/lift. It only opens twice a year and it's about to close in a couple days. So I want to make sure you guys know about it. tarswiger.com/lift. And I want to hear what foundation you're working on. You can share it on Instagram with the hashtag #ExploreYourEnthusiasm. And you can find links to everything I mentioned at the blog, tarswiger.com/podcast112. If ever you want the show notes for any podcast, you just go to tarswiger.com/podcast and then that number. This is podcast 112. Liftoff's tarswiger.com/lift. Thank you so much, and I wish you a very focused, enthusiastic day.